Alright, are we recording here? Looks like we're recording. Just double check. Check, mic 1, 2. Alright, cool. So, filming this on the fancy new GoPro 8, Hero 8, what have you. Dan from Dan's Cool Stuff, back again with another fantastic, fabulous video. So today we're doing front strut replacements on a 99 Volvo V70 wagon. I am a trained mechanic, so it's a pretty simple job for somebody with a mechanic skill set, but this is a job that even, you know, an amateur or someone that hasn't had a lot of experience working on cars, it's a pretty simple job when you're using a full quick strut assembly, which is what we're using today. So I've taken the liberty of setting out tools and getting the car ready to work on. Just wanted to do this in the mirror so everybody can see my lovely face. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so sway bar link's 14mm. And we use a pair of channel locks here to grab and hold the backside because they don't always have a nut on there to grab. So a pair of channel locks works pretty good. The low light in here, but so sway bar link disconnected. There might be a little bit of pressure on that from the car being up on the jack, but yeah, it looks like there is. Could probably relieve some of that with by jacking up on the, as you can see, I got it on jack stand and on the jack. I like to make sure that I'm doubly safe, but always use a jack stand when you're working on a car. So we're just gonna lift up on the control arm a little bit to relieve some, hopefully relieve some pressure on this sway bar link. Yeah. There we go. You can see that relieved the pressure on it and it came right out. So we'll go ahead and lower that back down and put our jack back in place. It's a double safety measure. Okay. Now, this is going to be I think this is an 18mm nut and 17mm wrench. Oh, those are on there pretty good. So, I got a breaker bar. If you don't have one of these, sometimes you can cheat with a 1/2-inch ratchet and a pipe. Use a cheater bar. We're gonna go just like this. I think I can fit it in there. There we go. Okay. Trick on these is that sometimes you have sometimes you've got a camber adjustment on these. So what we like to do, if I had a paint marker in here, is just mark where those two bolts line up at before you take them out. And a little bit of pushing on there to get them out. Now, this is your wheel speed sensor, and we want to get that out of there without damaging it. So there's that. Now we got the strut completely undone from the bottom side. So now we're gonna go to the top part. Once you crack them loose, you can just zip them out. Now this is gonna fall out as soon as we undo this last one. And those are our new screws for the new strut. I've already taken off and set there. Okay. So we get that off. And there it is. Now, it's always good to check your parts and make sure that they are the same before you put it back together. So these are made to fit on both sides. You can see they've got a spot to put your wheel speed sensor wire into either side. So this strut will mount on either side of the car. If you see one like this that only has one on one side on any job you're doing, then typically means that it's only going to go on one side of the car. So everything looks, take a look here, everything looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and get it installed. You can like that, and then we're gonna, there we go. Now once you get it in, we can put a nut on just to hold it in place. Make sure it doesn't fall out on you. And then once you get them all threaded on, you can let it go. And we're gonna go ahead and tighten them down. And just snug them down. You don't want to go too tight on these because you can break them. But yeah, back to the bottom side of the car. This is your brake line. I'm gonna need some new brake lines pretty soon. That guy's been not in the greatest of shape. All right, so next we're gonna go ahead and get our bolts back in there. There's one. Get in there. You can thread them sometimes if they don't want to line up and get them to start like that. We're gonna tap that in the rest of the way. Okay, now you can see that there's a pretty good sized gap in there. And that is not, you would think, it doesn't fit, but really, that's not a big deal. It will tighten down and it'll fit on there, no problem. So just go ahead and tighten it down. And it's actually made to fit a few other years and different models. And so they design it that way to fit on some other steering knuckles. Tighten it down, and these you're gonna use good old German torque and just go good and tight so that it won't back off. That's good and snug. And then just, I like to always just go back to the first one and make sure. Never hurts to double check that everything's tight. Sway bar doesn't want to line up there, so we want to take our jack and put some pressure on that control arm. And this is a bump stop there. It's a pretty solid part of the steering knuckle, so we can probably jack right off of that and it'll be fine. So just get it lined up with the bolt on the sway bar link and it pops right in there. And into place there. We're good and safe. And tighten down a little bit with our gun. And there we go, zip that on. And we just want to grab the back side of that to make sure that it's not spinning. Those little guns are handy, but they don't always get them as tight as you like. a hex on the other side that you can grab with the wrench, but there we go, good and snug. And that is it, folks. That is all finished. So all that's left is put the wheel back on, and you are good to go. One other tip I'd like to go over here is this nut on top. You want to make sure that that's tightened down all the way when you buy a new set of quick struts, because if you don't, you can get some rattle and clunking from the gap in between that nut and the top mount. So always a good idea to just double check that nut. Don't ever loosen this without a spring compressor on there. And I don't recommend doing these springs on your own. It's a matter of safety. If you disassemble these, you take that nut off without a proper spring compressor, that spring's under a lot of tension, and it can be harmful or possibly fatal if you're not trained on how to use those. So if you do need to do that, a lot of shops might, you bring them your strut and they might disassemble and reassemble it for you, and then you can reinstall it on the car. And so just call around and see if you can get a guy to do that. But that's it. So yeah, if you like the video, reach down there and hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to like it, because I thought it was cool. If you want to see some of my upcoming videos, I'm doing stuff on this tattoo removal, and then I've got a cool custom PC build that I'm gonna put together and do some unboxing on the components, and a really cool custom gaming computer that I'm putting together. It's gonna be a Stormtrooper build, so look forward to those. Thanks guys, have a good day.